Hi there, I'm Stella from Stella's Yarn Universe. In this little amigurumi tutorial, I'll show you how to crochet this little Brussels sprout. So you can make it with a face like I did, just like that, or you can turn it into an ornament like I did for my Christmas tree. So I used this green sewing thread that will blend in perfectly with my tree. Or you can make them with or without face as play food. So they are a realistic size, so they would make the ideal play food. So I'm not sure if that's a thing anywhere else besides here in the UK. So everyone eats Brussels sprouts for Christmas, and so I thought it would make the perfect ornament. But whether you are in the UK or anywhere else, I think it's just cute. It makes cute play food, or it's just a little fun veg to make. So I hope you'll enjoy this tutorial. Without further ado, let's get started. For this little project, we need yarn and a DK or light worsted weight. Actually, the one I'm using, Scheepjes Catona, is actually even a bit lighter than that, so that's absolutely no problem. And of course, you can always upscale your project by using heavier yarn and a larger hook. So for this type of yarn, we'll use a 2.5 millimeter hook, which is something in between B1 or C2. And then we'll need some fiber fill, a yarn needle to weave in the yarn ends and to do a little bit of sewing. Then we'll need safety eyes, and I'm using 5 millimeter safety eyes. We'll need a little bit of black embroidery floss and a large-eyed sewing needle to do a little embroidery. Then we have a stitch marker here. And if you're making the Brussels sprout as an ornament, then you can use green sewing thread so that the thread won't be visible and it will blend in with the Christmas tree. And then, of course, scissors. So we begin with a magic ring. So just use your preferred magic ring method, or if you want to use this or want to learn this method, I have a little tutorial that I can link to in the upper right corner if you're interested. So in round 1, we single crochet 6 in the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we close the magic ring, and usually I don't close it very firmly at first, so that it will be easier to crochet in the first stitch for the second round. And in the second round, we will increase in every stitch, so that we'll have a stitch count of 12 once the round is complete. There we go. So 2 single crochet in here, and then 2 single crochet in each of the following stitches. That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. Now I fully close the magic ring. Just be careful. Don't break the yarn, especially if you're using acrylic yarn, it breaks easily. So now I put in the stitch marker here, because I always lose count. And now in round 3 we keep increasing, this time in every other stitch. So 1 single crochet and 1 increase. And we repeat this 5 more times, 6 times in total. 1 increase and 1 single crochet and 1 increase in the next stitch. 1 single crochet, 1 increase. That was 3 repetitions. 1 single crochet, 1 increase. 1 single crochet, 1 increase, and 1 last time, 1 single crochet and 1 increase. So now we have 18 stitches, and in round 4 we keep increasing. So this time in every 3rd stitch. So we single crochet in the next 2 and then we increase. And once again we repeat this. Oops, sorry. 6 times all together. So 5 more times. Single crochet in the next 2 and increase. That's our halfway point. 3 more times. Oops. And increase. So now we have 24 stitches in the round, and in the next 4 rounds we simply single crochet in all 24 stitches. No increases. So you can pause the video here, and once you completed round 5, 6, 7, and 8 with 24 single crochet, 1 in each stitch, you can hit play and I'll show you what to do next. My 4 rounds of 24 single crochet are complete now. So I just finished round 8, and now in round 9 we start decreasing. So we single crochet in the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and then we make an invisible decrease. So if you haven't done that before, you just go in the front loop of the next stitch, then pull your hook down and go in the front loop of the next stitch. So now you have 3 loops on your hook, the one that was on your hook and the 2 front loops. Pick up the yarn and pull it through the 2 front loops, and then pick it up again and pull it through the 2 remaining loops. So we repeat this series of stitches 5 more times. 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, decrease, single crochet, and decrease, 1, 2, decrease, and 1, 2, decrease. So now I'm securing my stitch because before we continue, we'll insert the safety eyes and embroider a little mouth. So you can skip this step if you just want to make a Brussels sprout. It's play food or something like that. So if you want to skip this part, you can jump to whatever minute I'm going to put here. So for those of us who are inserting the safety eyes, I'll place them in between round 6 and 7. So in the center of the 24 single crochet rounds, and widen the gap between the stitches a bit with my closed scissors. I do this very carefully, but it really helps because whenever I have safety eyes that are quite big compared to the amigurumi, then it's difficult to get them in between the stitches, especially if you're using cotton yarn and if you crochet quite tightly. So I'll start with this spot here. Just twist my scissors a bit. Then we have a little gap there, and even if you change your mind later, it will just close again. So don't worry, as long as you're careful and don't damage the fibers, it will be fine. That's one eye. Now we'll see where to put the next, maybe here. So 1, 2, 3 stitches in between. 4. I think I tried this one, so you can always change your mind. Just make sure it's inserted properly so we can really see how it looks. And I think that's looking good. So if you're happy with the placement, here as you can see this way, there are 3 stitches in between the eyes. If you're happy with the placement, you can secure them. So I just push them out to make it easier to secure them. So one side done, and the other side. Okay, that's it. I love giving amigurumi's eyes. That's really when they come alive, as soon as they have eyes, if you ask me. So now we'll embroider a little mouth, and for this we won't need much embroidery floss at all. I'll be using a piece like this, maybe 20 centimeters, 8 inches, I guess. So thread this on my large-eyed sewing needle, trying not to split the thread. Okay. Now I just go from the inside out, and I'm embroidering the mouth in a little upside down V shape. So I start on the left side, and I'm trying to go through in between stitches. So no, actually not in between stitches, like I go through the yarn. So I split the separate fibers of the yarn, because this way I have more control over where the stitch goes. If we insert our needle in between stitches, which we could be doing with a yarn needle, it doesn't need a sewing needle, then we don't have as much control over where the stitches go, because they have lots of room to move around. Now let's see. Actually, I'll move that further to the eye. That's where I start. Okay. Then I'll try to find the center, the middle in between the eyes, and stitch somewhere through. Again, I want to catch some of the fibers of the yarn. I'm trying not to stitch through in between stitches. This time from the outside in. And now I stitch through on the other side, trying to mirror this side, so close to the other eye this time. And again, trying not to stitch through in between stitches, but through in between the fibers of the yarn. And one last stitch from the outside in, where I inserted my yarn before. Here, to create the upside down V shape. And that's it. So then all that's left to do is make a knot. I just make a double knot with the 2 yarn ends, the 2 embroidery floss ends. And that's it. Then I just hide them inside. Also, we can start filling up our Brussels sprout with fiber fill, because we wanted to get all around the back end of the safety eyes here, so that it doesn't mess with the shape. So for this, I'm making small balls of fiber fill, and I push them in with the back of my hook. And again, making sure that you have fiber fill all around the safety eyes, on the sides, underneath them, above them, in between them. Okay, I think that's enough for now because we can still add more after finishing the next round. So in this round we single crochet 1 in the next stitch, and then we decrease, and as you can see I'm pushing the fiber fill in with my middle finger while crocheting. This helps me not to work in the fiber fill into my stitches. So now we repeat this 5 more times. 1 single crochet and 1 decrease, 1 single crochet and 1 decrease, and so on. Once there is not enough space anymore for my finger, I just push the Brussels sprout together. And that makes it a bit easier to crochet into these stitches of this small round. Just be careful not to work in the fiber fill. So there we go. Now I decrease. Oops. No. There we go. And once more. One single crochet and one decrease. Okay. Now we definitely need more fiber fill, at least I do. I think that's enough. So now, in the last round of this part, we simply decrease 6 times. So our round of 12 becomes a round of 6. So again, I squeeze the Brussels sprout together. That makes it a little bit easier to make the decreases. That's 1. Oops. 2. 3. 4. Pushing the fiber fill back in a bit. that is 5. 6. Okay, so now we can fasten off. Pull that through. Now we thread the yarn end on our yarn needle, and we close the round by inserting our yarn needle in the front loop of each of the 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we pull tight, and now we insert our needle in the center of the last round here and stitch through somewhere on the back opposite side of the face. And here we just weave in this yarn end. And there we go. Now we just cut this short. And that's part 1 of our little Brussels sprout done. Now we can jump straight into the next part. And for that we start once again with a magic ring. And we single crochet 6 in the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we close the magic ring, but not completely yet. So now in round 2 we single crochet 1 in each stitch. So I just changed my mind, that's why I already crocheted in all of them and unraveled. So 1 single crochet in each stitch. That's 5 and 6. And now we can fully close the magic ring, and that will also help turn our work the right way around if it gets turned inside out like it did for me. There we go. So now in round 3 we increase in all 6 stitches. So 2 single crochet in here, 2 in the next. That's 4. 2 in the next. That's 6. 2 in the next. That's 8. 2 in the next. That's 10, and once more. 2 in the next, and that's the round complete. So now it should look like a mini head. So now here's where it gets a bit different. So now we start crocheting in rows. So we begin with one leaf, one of the outer leaves of the Brussels sprout. So we crochet back here. So we chain 1 to make a turning chain, and then we single crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, we chain 1. This is the round that we're working on now, and we single crochet. Now 2 in the first stitch, so we increase, then 1 in the next stitch, 1 in the next stitch, and in the next we increase again. So 2 in the last stitch of the row, then we chain 1 again and turn. Again, we increase in the first stitch. Then we single crochet in the next 4 stitches. That's 4. And we increase in the last stitch, chain 1 and turn. In the next row we single crochet in all 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now we chain 1 and turn. In the next round we skip the first stitch and then single crochet in the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we skip the next stitch and single crochet in the last stitch of the row. Chain 1 and turn. Now we skip the first stitch and single crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, 3, and skip the next stitch and single crochet in the last stitch of the row. Chain 1, turn, and now we skip the first stitch, single crochet in the next, skip again and single crochet in the last stitch. And now we just continue, so we single crochet in the side here, in the side of each row. So the row that we just crocheted, we stitch in the side of it, so that's actually the same stitch, the same place where we just made a single crochet. We make another single crochet in there, then we go in the side of the next row, make a single crochet here, then we go in the side of the next row, make a single crochet here, side of the next row, single crochet, side of the next row, single crochet, side of the next row, single crochet, and then here in this place we make a slip stitch. So here between the base, so to speak, and this leaf, we go in there, pick up the yarn, pull it through, and make a slip stitch. And then we fasten off for now, so you can leave the end a little bit longer so that we can use it to sew the leaf on. And can do that now or later. Let's just do it now. Not the sewing, just stitching through and this space here again in the corner of this space and the first leaf. Just stitch through from the outside in, just to make it good. So for the yarn that I want to join, now make a little loop by making a slip knot. This way it's just safer to join it. And now here where we crocheted in the side of the leaf, that we just need to keep in mind that's the front. So that will be next to the face because the other side is going to be covered. So we join the yarn now. If you take the other side where we didn't crochet in the side of the leaf, and that's where we will join the yarn, and from here we leave 2 stitches space, so 1, 2, and in the 3rd stitch we will join the yarn. So just go through the 3rd stitch, pull the loop on your hook and pull it through there. So now we chain 1, and in the same stitch we make a single crochet, and then we single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. So now we have 2 stitches space on this side and 2 stitches space on the other side. And again we work in rows, so we chain 1 and turn, and we increase in the first stitch, then we single crochet in the next 2, and increase in the last stitch. There we go. The last one was really small and tricky. So 2 single crochet in here. Then we chain 1 and turn. Then we increase in the first stitch again. Now we single crochet in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and increase in the last stitch. The last one is tight again. So there we go. Increase in the last stitch, then we chain and turn. Now we single crochet in all 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Chain 1. Oops, split, yarn split alert. Then we chain 1 and turn. Now we skip the first stitch and then we single crochet in the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we skip the next stitch and single crochet in the last stitch. Then chain 1 and turn. And again we skip the first stitch, then we single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Skip the next stitch and single crochet in the last stitch. Chain 1 and turn. Now we skip the first stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, just this one here, and again skip the next stitch and single crochet in the last stitch. And now we single crochet in the side of each row again. So the first one is going to go in the same stitch that we already crocheted in just now. So 1 more single crochet in here, 1 single crochet in the side of the next row, 1 single crochet in the side of the next row, 1 single crochet in the side of the next row, 1 in the next, 1 more in here, and now here in between this base and this leaf we just make a slip stitch, and here we fasten off again. So again I'm leaving the yarn end a little longer than usual because I may be using this for sewing, and I thread it on my yarn needle and stitch through from the outside in just to make this look nice and neat. And that's 2 leaves done. And we still have 1 leaf to go. So again, to rejoin the yarn, I make a little loop just by making a slip stitch and have that ready here. Now here where we crocheted in the side of each row, that's the front, so we won't attach any more leaves there. We turn it around, and here where we didn't crochet in the side of each row, that's where we'll attach the yarn now. So we have 2 stitches space in between both leaves, and in the first one we join the yarn now. So we just pop the loop on here, pull that through, and keep the yarn it out of the way, chain 1, and now in that same stitch we increase. So we single crochet 2 in the same stitch where we just joined the yarn, 1 and 2, and then we increase in the next stitch. So 2 single crochet in the next stitch. Now we chain 1 and we increase in the first stitch, 1 and 2, then we single crochet in the next 2, 1, 2, and we increase in the last stitch. So increase in here, then we chain and turn and increase in the first stitch again, then we single crochet in the next 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3 and 4, then increase in the last stitch. Seriously, next time I'll remember to make the first stitch more loose. So chain 1 and we increase again in the first stitch. This time I'm trying to make a nice and loose first single crochet here and another one because we increase. Then we single crochet in the next 6 stitches. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and increase in the last stitch. Okay, there we go. Chain 1 and turn. Now we single crochet in all 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Chain 1 and turn. Now we skip the first stitch and single crochet in the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then we skip the next stitch and single crochet. Oops. Single crochet in the last stitch. Chain 1 and turn, and we skip the first stitch and single crochet in the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we skip 1 stitch and single crochet in the last stitch, chain 1 and turn, skip the first stitch and single crochet in the next 3, 1, 2, 3, skip the next stitch and single crochet in the last stitch, chain 1, turn, skip the first stitch, single crochet in the next, skip the next stitch and single crochet in the last. And now we crochet in the side of each row So the first one goes in the same stitch that we just crocheted in, and then in the side of each row, so each row has a little gap on the side where you can crochet in. One in here. And one in here. And now here in the one at the base, like we did before, we make a slip stitch. Here we fasten off, pull through, and now with the yarn needle or with your hook even, you can grab this yarn end and pull it through to the inside. Like we did before, just this time I'm using my hook. And now we want the other side of this leaf in the back look pretty too. So for that, we join the yarn here at the base. So we work ourselves up from the base this time. So again, yeah, if you want to use the more safe method, you can make a little loop. Then we go through here where the bigger loop in the back begins, and pull this loop with the yarn through. And now we start with a slip stitch in the side of the first row here. Oops, so we go through here, pick up the yarn, oops, make it a slip stitch, and that's the yarn end peeking out there. So we can sort out all these yarn ends in a bit. Now we just single crochet our way up in the side of each row. So one single crochet in here, the next single crochet goes in here, the next single crochet in here, next in here, one in here, one in here, oops, one in here, and then I slip stitch one in the next here. Just want to make this end nice and smooth, and then we'll also make an invisible finish. At least that's what I always call it. So we fasten off. Now we thread the yarn in on our hook. And here we have the last stitch that we made, the slip stitch. Now we skip the next stitch, so this little V shape here, we skip and go underneath the next stitch, both front and back loop, stitch through, and then we go in between the front and back loop of the last stitch that we made, the slip stitch there, and pull that tight. Not too tight though, it should look natural. So now it looks like there is a seamless transition of stitches. And now here on the inside of this leaf, we just weave in this end with a few stitches to secure and hide it. that's enough. And I cut that short, but it doesn't need to be cut super short because this will be hidden on the inside anyway. And we have plenty of yarn in here to sew the leaves in place now. So we just sort them out, move them to each side wherever they come out, move them to that side. This is the middle one. I'll just move that to this side. So now we can sew both parts together. So our little center for the Brussels sprout goes here. And then we just have to sew the leaves in place like this. So I start with the side leaves, and I'll be starting with this side. So this yarn end is what I'll first thread on my yarn needle, and you could use pins to keep it in place, but I think I'll just hold it in place like this. Anyway, because it's very small, they peek out at some spot and then you may hurt yourself, so maybe it's better not to use them. And this yarn needle, by the way, it's very big, so if you have a smaller one, it's better. But I made the mistake of breaking it just before this tutorial. Don't know how I managed that. So now I just stitch through one round here of the center Brussels sprout, and then I stitch back through the leaf, and this way I just go around and around. And I don't cover these stitches because we made the stitches nice on purpose because we knew they'd be in the front, so we don't cover them now. Can proudly show them off. So I'll just stitch through this way and then again through the next to the face. And through the leaf again. And you can always try to stitch on top of the stitches or the way the pattern of the stitches naturally goes. Just to make it look extra nice. So here there's for example a little bit that goes like this direction, so I stitch on top of that to hide the seam as much as possible. Now these ends go, and this end goes here, these ends go there. So, oops. Now what I'll do is I just stitch once more through the leaf, keeping these other yarn ends out of the way. And then I can stitch one more toward the bottom center of the main Brussels sprout here, the head, so to speak, because now I can tie this end together with this center yarn end from the magic ring, and this way both get secured in some way and I don't need to weave in the yarn end further. Oops, I think that was even a triple knot. So, okay, these two are securing each other, so I cut them short. There are plenty of other yarn ends that we can work with still. So I'll just cut them off to have them out of the way. So that's one leaf attached. Now I attach the other side. So I'll be using this yarn end that comes out here at the front, because the back leaf goes on top of both of them. That's why I'm attaching the front ones first. So first through the head, I'll just call this head now, since it has a face. And through the leaf. Oops. Okay, now I reached the end for this one. Just need to figure out which yarn end is peeking out there. this one. Okay, so maybe I'll tie it together with this one now, and this way both of them are secured and the other one doesn't pop out anymore. So I just make a firm double knot here and cut both of these quite short so I can hide them beneath the last leaf. So now onto the last leaf. I'll just pick this one, this yarn end, I'll just hide in there. Maybe I cut it a bit shorter first. There we go. Then I'll use this one for sewing. Oops. So now this leaf goes on top of the other two, so they slightly overlap. Just a little bit here. So I'll just stitch through the side leaf here to attach it. I just start sewing from the other side now because my yarn end is getting too short. So this one I just hide in there. Now I'll use the other one to sew up the other side. And while you sew, try to stretch it a bit so that it covers as much of the Brussels sprout as possible. And now I'll just weave in these yarn ends. I'll just, because they're very short, I'll just stitch through somewhere to the other side. And mine are not really play food, mine are more ornaments, so this should be fine. Sometimes there's a little trick I can show you. When the yarn end is really short, you can first insert the needle, wherever you want it to go, but let the eye peek out, and then you thread the needle, so then it will be easier to stitch through with a very, very short yarn end. So then you cut them short. Oops. There we go. And that's our little Brussels sprout done. So you can just leave it like this. Make loads more as little play food. Or if you would like to turn it into an ornament, you can do what I do. So I just take the green sewing thread, just depending on how long I would like my loop to be, I just double that. And then I just stitch through to through the top here, through round 1, between round 1 and 2, horizontally. And just tie these ends together at the end. And now I have a little ornament. So I think that would be so cute to hang a couple of those in your tree. Thank you so much for crocheting along with me. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up. And also make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of my future amigurumi tutorials. Happy crocheting! Bye!